Strap in and get ready. This is the Wild Will Throwdown. We're your all-access pass to the world of short-track racing, covering everything from regional results to national highlights. Each episode, we dive into upcoming schedules and bring you exclusive interviews with special guests from the heart of the motorsports industry. Now, here is your host, Wild Will Greenwell.
Welcome, everyone, to the Wild Will Throwdown. Another week, season number 5, almost to the cross flags of the month of March. Yes, we're going to talk about that, and it'll sound like a broken record each and every week, but time is going by fast. The pedals are mashed, and we are well on our way into the 2026 race season. Well, now on the hotline, my two co-hosts, Mr. Hawk Harold Adams and Young Money Dalton Connor. And Hawk Harold Adams, I thought about something earlier. And I think this is the first time we've had every episode where every one of us have been on, unlike last year. How about that?
Awesome. I mean, hey, we're off to a good start. 2026. Let's get it going.
Yeah, you took off half the year last year, so glad you're back full-time this year. And Dalton Connor, we had to let Harold get back in. He was he's acting like a union worker is what he's acting like.
Yeah, there ain't nothing wrong with that, though. Sometimes you just need a little bit of break, especially with all the women he's got over there. Isn't that right?
He threw the card. Oh, man,
I promise I'll do better this year. How about that?
What a start. I like it. Gloves are off. But, gentlemen, here we are. We're in the month of March. Everything in our region firing up. Of course, we had the racing in Florida. That is old news now. And now we are going into this past weekend. We had Salem Speedway for opening round of practice for the 2026 season. You and I both were on hand, Hawk Harold Adams. We're going to talk about that here in a moment. And then, of course, you have a lot of things going on this weekend, which towards the end of the show today, we'll get into all of that meat and potato. But our guest today going to be great to have Mr. Ronnie Basham III, of course, one of the most winningest Crown Vic drivers on the high banks of Salem Speedway now, and him and Pickford Motorsports joining forces this year to Pickford and Basham Motorsports. So that is going to be very interesting to talk to Ronnie Basham today about the number 35 Crown Vic going into the 2026 80th year season at Salem Speedway. Dalton Connor, I know you've been hard at work. You've broke some news this past week, got the old Outlaw Figure 8 car back. You posted some pictures of that car in your garage, but that has to be some exciting news.
Yeah, we got it back last night, and me and my brother went and got it from the Dawsey clan. So they're not getting out of it, though. They got a new car being built for this whole year, so it'll be fun racing with all these guys again, and I'm excited to get back to it.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's awesome to see. And a lot of big Outlaw Figure 8 races this year. If you're an Outlaw Figure 8 driver, a former Outlaw Figure 8 driver, it's hard not to be excited about the 2026 season. We've talked about it. Longest running figure 8 race, the 1 hour at Speedrome celebrating 50 years. And then right after that, of course, the 3 hour World Championship celebrating 50 years. We talk about the 60th annual, the longest running continuing figure 8 race in the country, the Midwestern at Salem Speedway the week before the spring shootout. And don't forget, everyone who shows up and competes at Salem Speedway, a free set of tires. That's going to be fun as well. So, I mean, Harold Adams, it's hard not to be a figure 8 fan this year or a driver.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, all this stuff going on this year, a lot of big things happening, and we've got a pretty good group of Outlaw Figure 8 drivers too. Everybody's excited about that big 3 hour this year, and we seeing some old names come back and some cars getting built. So it's really building up. I mean, it's really something. I mean, that race is not until September, but like I said, we got the Midwestern coming up in May, a lot of other big races. So it's really exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, the Salem Speedway, we were just there this past Sunday for opening day of practice. And let me tell you, everyone, the vibe is good, getting ready for the 80th year at Salem as well. A lot to talk about. Of course, we are launching the pre-show back on that Friday of opener. I know 2 p.m. we're going to go live from the VIP suite, our little studios, if you will, for the pre-show. We're going to talk about a lot of storylines, a lot of new drivers, a lot of returning drivers. And this past weekend at practice, we saw some brand new Ford Future Stars. The Sportsman going to have one of the best car counts of that returning this year in 2026. The Modified Figure 8, of course, and the Crown Vics. And Harold Adams, it's always funny when we go into practice because it's the game of who's who, right? Because you have all of these black Crown Vics that are not lettered yet. You would think, now they're Crown Vic guys, you would think they would have them lettered a couple weeks before race season, but they always wait to that last minute. But a ton of black cars, a ton of cars this past weekend, about 30, 40, 50 maybe Crown Vics for practice, over 100, and you'll be updating the list here soon. It's going to be a great season.
Yeah, it will. And like I say, I'm going to update that list tonight after our broadcast. So you'll be able to check that out. And list just keeps growing, and it looks pretty good in all divisions, as you said. Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell who's who out there. All them cars not lettered up yet, but hey, at least the guys are getting their cars out there and getting them tuned up and getting ready. So I'm sure, hope tonight will be a good night.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time, and looking at the future forecast, of course, we know March and Mother Nature and all of that stuff. And last year, man, she threw a lot at us. We almost never, it felt like, got to the middle part of the season without having about 4 or 5 races under our belt. But it's going to be a great year at Sportsdrome, going to be a great year at Speedrome, Salem, all of our local tracks, Winchester, Mount Lawn, Anderson. I could go on and on. We're going to cover a lot of those once they get rolling. Of course, April, you really get to the full fired up season, if you will, of all of our regional tracks. But this week, topic of the week, Hawk Harold Adams. Dalton had it last week. He gave us a really good conversation last week talking about what's the craziest thing you've seen at a racetrack. It really kept us on our toes on thinking. But this week, what do you got, Hawk Harold Adams, for the topic of the week?
Well, a lot of things we could talk about, of course, this time of year. A lot of things coming up and getting ready for the season. But you're talking about the weather and everything too. Kind of leads me into this. See what your guys' thoughts is on this. We've kind of touched on this before a little bit, but it's like I remember back in the old days, and yeah, I'm old. Anyway, y'all already knew that. But back in the day, I know the season never started down here until like the third weekend of April. And always wished as a kid that they would start earlier, because it just took a long time to get there because the weather would start warming up. So, as it went on, the season starting a little bit earlier. The season ends later. And now we've talked about this before on here about how, like the season almost never ends, it seems like. But it's like, I know from a different perspective, I've heard from some people even last few years, they're like, man, I wish they wouldn't start this early. Some guys don't have their cars ready because it sneaks up on them so quick. The weather, that's one thing. It's like it's always cold on open night. It just seems like it is. Plus, you get all this rainy season, in March and into April. So it's like, I mean, what should the season start this early? I mean, uh, like I say, a lot of guys are rushing to get their cars done. If they had another month, they would probably everybody have their cars done, right? Almost like that COVID year we talked about where things got started late. But it's like as a kid, I was wishing they would start early. And now I have mixed feelings sometimes because I hate the cold weather. And I'm out there, and if it's cold, I mean, I have a hard time enjoying myself sometimes. You know what I mean? And I'm moving around. I know that the fans, it hurts your attendance. There's a lot of people are like, I'll wait till it gets warmer. It's too cold out there right now. But I mean, there's so many people that want to see racing, now, right now. So yeah, I'm kind of mixed on it too. I mean, if we can get what do you call it on the weather, Will, on a good day, Chamber of Commerce
Yeah,
Day.
there you go. Chamber
There
of
you
Commerce.
go. Yeah, if we get a Chamber of Commerce Day for opening day and each Saturday, that'd be just great. But like Will, what do you think about that? I mean, is it starting too early or not?
Well, here's my kind of input on it, and it's a great question, right? So we talk about how we're getting down the deep south, right, and they can start in February if they want, and here we are in the Midwest, and here's why I like it. We've seen in years past where you have this chance of rain, right? You're in March and you're expecting either it's going to be cold here in the Midwest or it's going to be a nice warm day. Again, Chamber of Commerce Day. I love using that phrase. Sometimes it's the pick and choose kind of game. We are seeing now a lot of tracks pulling the plug early than we've seen in very years past, if you will. Um, it's a new generation, right? And this is another subject, but back in the day, I remember being at Sportstrom as a fan and a kid. They would drive the track all the way to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning to get the race in. Well, that's not going to happen these days. It's a new generation. But now, a lot of technology as far as weather apps. Now, are they 100% accurate? No. We've seen in years past where they'll cancel a race and then the sun pops out and people are mad and pissed off and everything else. But the reason I do like starting this early, and we'll use all of our local tracks as a fact. Last year, we hardly got any race in by the time mid-season rolled around. Sportstrom down there, they got to the Jake's, mid-season championship or whatnot, and they felt like they only got 5 or 6 races in. So the reason I do like starting this early is if you can get so many races in, by the time you get to mid-season, then you got some more chances of getting those races in, and you have more races under your belts for the point system wise. Same thing with the end of the season. We used to see Sportstrom go to almost the end of October. They had the Halloween fun stuff, and now the last weekend of September is the last weekend. So you're kind of moving it back a little bit and starting towards the middle of March, and then you're getting a little bit done earlier towards later of the season. Now, years past, I don't remember Sportstrom starting, I always remember the last weekend of March, but now we've moved it up a little bit earlier, which is, of course, the 19th or 20th or so on of March. So I like it. It's a free country, right? So if you don't want to go and you don't think it's going to be warm enough, then sit at home. I mean, that's your choice. But as Mike says, trying to get as much racing as possible in for the season. I love that idea. And we're going to talk about this towards the end of the show. We're going to see Brownstown Speedway in Jackson County, which is about an hour north of course, where Sportstrom sits. They're going to have their first race of the weekend this weekend. And we're looking at about 61, 62 degrees for the high, and they're going to start earlier, of course. But we'll talk about towards the end of the show. But a lot of tracks, not just asphalt, just everyone is starting to kind of start early here in the month of March in the great state of Indiana. So for me, I like it. Of course, now I'm going to be a little bit, everyone's going to be like, oh, you're an asshole. But I get to sit in the warm press box and do what I love and call the action. So as a fan, yes, it's easy for me to say, and I'm not being an asshole, it's easy for me to say, yes, I'm ready to go racing when I'm in a warm press box doing what I love, and that's calling the racing for the fans. So yes, I get it. But I will say, I'm not going to pitch their product, but Mr. Heater's got a very good thing that you can get, and Harold, you and I have seen this at racetracks. You can get those portable propane heaters now. And I can tell you, I thought if I was still a fan going here and there, and yes, I'm a wimp, and yes, I got back problems and all of that stuff, and I don't really sit out in the cold if I'm going to watch a race anymore, hardly. But get you a propane heater. I mean, you're looking at maybe it's the size of a cooler now, and you can get those little propane bottles. And most tracks, all the tracks, will let you take them in. You're just setting them on the bench in front of you, and that's just a propane heater. So, if I'm going to go to a track that's cold, get you a propane heater. They're $59.99, I think. And, that's a pretty good deal for if you're, for the beginning of season, for the end of season. So I love starting in March. That's just my 2 cents. And I'm an announcer, broadcaster, whatever you call me. But that's me. Now let's hear it from a racer. I know, Dalton, you being a competitor, what do you prefer?
I mean, I don't want to quit racing throughout the whole year. I want to race through the winter, obviously, but obviously it's not practical to do that where we live and stuff. But yeah, I mean, Sportstrom, I feel like, is one of the main ones in our local area that really like gets their season up and running earlier than anybody else. I feel like, besides maybe like the dirt tracks and stuff. But I love starting early. It helps you get more racing. And then, like what you said, Will, you felt like they only got 5 or 6 shows in by the time it was mid-season. And that's kind of how Anderson Speedway was up here, too. They get to their spring championships, and I literally think they completed 3 races until they crowned the spring champion. So the earlier you start, yeah, you're going to have the rain and all the cold and all that play a factor, but you may get lucky on a nice weekend or something like we've been having recently. and get some racing in. So I love to start early, but it's textbook up here is usually right at the beginning of April. But yeah, I don't mind seeing tracks move their schedules up a week or two just to see if they could get one or two more races in for the year. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty good topic of the week actually. It got me thinking what actually as a racer, what other people would think also if they would rather push it back because they're pussies and don't like the cold and don't want to race, or they're like me and don't really care about that stuff and just want to be in a race. Because I know the start of the CRA street stock season, the past 3 or 4 years, I've ran Shady Bowl, and it really has been miserable the past 2 years probably. With like it's just misty rain and just freezing. But I'm at a racetrack, so I'm always gonna be happy if I'm there.
Well, yeah, and really, I mean, to jump on that, we talk about the generations. I remember and again, not just because I'm announcing there this year, I'll use Sportstrome as a good reference point because I was a fan there first, right? And Louisville Speedway before it closed. I remember, I said, and it was one of your blast nights, Harold Adams. You may be able to remember this, but as a fan, I remember sitting there, and it was so cold that October weekend that it started sleeting when the front wheel drives were on the track. I don't know. Do you remember that, Harold Adams?
I do remember seeing some of that. Yeah, it's vaguely remember that, but I do remember seeing that, and I do remember also one of the preseason practices one time the snowflakes was flying around. I
Sure.
do remember that too.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. But now you have to look at it, and let's be honest with ourselves, right? The older generation, it's called life. You're going to pass on, and I hate that. But it is. Nobody is undefeated with Father Time. Father Time is undefeated. Um, those were the backbone race fans of that generation. And those who were raised, um, example given, Mike Gibson, of course, Jake raised him, and you look at Dean Worrell and Dave Wren and his dad and what they do in that generation of the race family and generations over the years. Um, they're diehards, right? Now we have this new, obviously, call it what it is, Gen X, social media world where you can watch racing anytime you want it. But this is the reason that, it's not worth, trying to keep everyone out there all night because people aren't going to sit there all night. There's 1,000 other things to do in the area. Back then, let's look at 1947. There was a Greyhound with illegal gambling going on up the road in 1947. So you had a racetrack. That was it. And, of course, your ball fields and all of that stuff back then, of course. But I'm talking about now. There's 1,000 things to get to. What does this have to do with weather and all this stuff? It has a lot to do with that because now if you 2 hour delay and it's 11 p.m. before you do opening ceremonies, most people are going to be gone hanging out with friends. Now also look at this. I mean, how many times do we hear fans and crews and families of racers? What are y'all doing after the race? We're going to go to the gambling boat. We're going to go. We're going to go here. We're going to go here to eat. We got to go here before they close. So there's 1,000 things you can do, and everyone waiting around for 2 hours with the weather and the coldness coming in are not going to be. It's not going to be feasible. So we're not seeing that like we go to 2 a.m. in the morning to dry the track and then we start. It just is not going to happen anymore. And again, a lot of tracks before noon on their social media outlets. They're canceling if they see a little bit of weather coming in, if it's 60-70%. Now, we've seen the bad side of that, right? You cancel too early, and the sun peeks out, and then you're the worst bastard in the world on social media.
Yep.
So
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
that it's exactly right. It's the risk of reward, right? So risk versus reward. So yes, I love the early race season because we get in as much as we can before the halfway point of the season, and then we can continue, and then you have enough races under your belt to have the championship crown at the end of the season. So yes, I love it. Great topic of the week today. I really had to think on that one, but it's an easy answer. Yes, I love racing. It's easy for me to say because I'm in a press box announcing. But as far as the fans go, Hey, check out those propane heaters, Mr. Heater. I'm telling you, those are a good investment. If you're a die-hard race fan and you go from March all the way to October, it's a great investment to keep you comfortable out there. But yes, we're going to take our first commercial break. Thank our marketing partners for all that they've done for us here in 2026 for our 5th anniversary season. When we come back, RB3, Ronnie Basham III, joins us here on the Wild Will Throwdown. Race fans, in 2026, we celebrate 5 years of the podcast, The Wild Will Throwdown. And in 2026, we cannot thank our great marketing partners for what they do for us, including the Salem Speedway, the Sportstrom Speedway, KKR, Indianapolis Speedrome, Elite Outdoor Services, Shears Drain Cleaning, Kentucky Clutch and Performance, Forklift Rescue, Diesel Boys, Park fans, Hoosier Auto Racing fans, Flag to Flag Media, Roosters, Marshall Jaggers Racing, Derby City Recycling, Polk Brothers Racing, John McLaren Motorsports, Shane Wilson Lawn Care, Sean Smith Race Cars, Circle City Raceway, Victory Lane Frenchies, Oink Incorporated, Hadley Towing and Recovery, Code 3 Roofing, KJ Enterprises, The Smile Center, Clap Mowing and Landscaping, LaFever's Curbing, El Tarasco Mexican Restaurant, and S&R Towing. We cannot thank our beautiful marketing partners enough for their success and their support in 2026. And welcome back to the Wild Will Throwdown season number 5, supporting the Indy Warrior Partnership. Now on the hotline, RB3, Ronnie Basham III. And Ronnie, thanks for taking some time out to chat with us this week.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me on and inviting me to come on the show.
Hey, absolutely, Ronnie. So let's talk about it. Let's dive right in. Here we are, 2026, the new season upon us. Of course, the 80th year for the Salem Speedway, fueled by the Hoosier Lottery. And, talking about your success before we go to the new team, but what makes you so good at Salem, and why did you take a liking to that track so well?
Man, I want to go back and not to bore some people, but I was a kid in the playground in the middle of Salem in the infield, watching Salem, watching family. Got a lot of families race up there, a lot of wins, a lot of history. Um, and I was like, man, it's just, as a kid, when you're little, you don't realize it, how intimidating, how fast everything is. And I just liked it up there, I guess, because of the infield, the playground, because of the infield.
Sure.
But I started a race a year, street stocks up there. Loved it. I come straight out of Dromers from the sports dome. Got a little backlash, like, hey, you might be biting off more than you can chew, and I did, and I realized, oh boy, this is different. But hey, I like it. I like a challenge. So I'm like, I'm gonna try to conquer this. I say conquer, but you can't conquer Salem. You can get it down really good, but you're never gonna conquer that old
Conquer it,
girl.
yeah.
But I feel like it's just my style. I have a need for speed. I have a need of, I like it. It's a challenge. Salem's fun. It's a blast. I feel like the success, back to your question, that I have had, and especially in the Crown Vics, I have decent success, in the street stocks as well. I got to win second in points and rookie of the year up there and stuff. Um, I think I, consistency. I mean, I
Yeah.
preach it to guys. I preach it to four guys. You know, my car it's a fast race car. So it's a good race car. It's a good piece, a really good piece. Nothing special to it. It's no faster than any other fast guys. But if you go back and look at lap times, consistency at Salem, I feel like is key. And you hit the same marks, keep hitting them, just keep hitting them. And I think it just adds up. At the end of the race, you look up, hey, here we are. So in Salem, man, it's just I guess with the Basham blood, that's where the grassroots of racing was for my family, and I guess I've just kind of pulled right behind them and try to adapt to it as good as they was. Maybe never be good as Dugan and Daryl Basham and Mikey and Jason, but we're all you can do is try. That's all I try to do is I give it my best, and I give the car everything it don't want, I want. So.
Well, like you said, we've seen it time and time again. You picked up the checkered flag at Salem on many of those races I've called. And then, of course, other cars caused issues that kind of take you out, and you've had mechanical issues. So it's not all pure, being good at Salem. You have to worry about what's around you as well, don't you?
Yes, yes. Salem is I call it Salem's. You gotta have some luck at Salem. Even in a 50 lapper, it takes luck to win at Salem. you can win at Salem or even finish at Salem, I feel like you've done something. So I mean, it's tough. And Salem, it's a bear of its own. You know what I mean? So all you can do is keep her off the wall the best you can out 3 and 4, and give her hell.
Well, let's talk about your new team this year. In the number 35, we saw a picture of the car this past week, and Pickford Basham Motorsports. Talk about how that deal came about.
Jeff Pickford, he's been around. He's been with a three stock race
Yep.
team. They had some good success there, and Jeff actually wanted to come on board last year with his Frenchie dogs. He
Oh yeah.
sells and stuff. Sponsored the car and kind of was there. And Jeff, he talked to us every race, come see us, and got wind. He's kind of threw it up to me. He's like, "Hey, is this car for sale?" And I'm like, at the point in time, I was like, "Yes and no. Why you asking? I don't want it to go nowhere." He says, "Well, I want to buy it." I said, "Oh, okay." He said, "I want you to drive it." I said, "Okay."
Double win.
Double win. I'm like, "Hey, I'm not gonna lose on a ride." And I said, "It's kind of like you keep the same bicycle you're winning with." So I get to keep my same bicycle and still get to go racing. So, um, you know, uh, Jeff made a deal with Jeff Roberts, and I raced the past 3 seasons with Jeff with this car, Jeff Roberts. We had a lot of success,
Yep.
a lot of wins, a lot of great runs. We got the Spooky 200 win, which was a really good weekend for us.
Yes.
I know, I look at these cars, they're Crown Vics, and they're not race cars, and I get that to an extent especially coming from a street stock racing outlaw figure eights for many of years.
Yeah.
But you still race. It's competitive. You're competing in competition, so it's you're still. These cars they're different. They're tough to get around. They're not all the fast like a street stock. They don't turn as fast. They don't stop as fast. They don't have the horsepower as a street stock, but it's still the same basics of it. So it's challenging, especially on a radial tire at Salem. I mean, that's a little sketch itself, but it makes it challenging. So I guess us racers, it's like a challenge. We're a little missing a few brain cells, and I think we enjoy that.
Well, I mean, you've had a lot of success. You're talking about outlaw figure eight cars and the street stocks back in the day, and the Crown Vics, kind of like the modern day bombers, if you will, and they're so
Yes.
close. And it's fun to watch. Everyone was kind of doubting. Everyone had their doubts, like how are these cars going to do on the high banks, 33-degree banking, big track at Salem? Man, some of the great racing we've seen with the drafting, it's almost like all these cars stay up like a Talladega or a Daytona. Obviously, not to the extreme. I'm just talking about single file, how close they are. Truly fun races to call, and you've had much success. I'm excited to see what you and Jeff Pickford can do this year on the high banks. Of course, it's going to be, I'm not going to lie, it's going to be different seeing you in the 35 rather than 86, by the way.
Well, I've been 86 for Jeff Roberts. That's
Yeah,
his number.
yeah.
My original number since I started racing at 11, 12 years old was 34.
Yep.
Chase is 34, and I'm like, it kind of bothers me when there's two of the same car numbers.
Sure.
I don't know why. It just always has. And I don't want to look on the board as 234s. Like, which one am I? Heck with it. You know what? 34 is a Basham number. 35 is a Basham
Yes.
number. And I'm mainly, Mikey, my cousin, has ran 35 up there past couple of race seasons. And 35 is what my Uncle Dugan raced at
Yep.
Salem,
Yep.
and has had many and many of wins up there in the McDonald Dash Series cars back in the day at Salem. Um, and Dugan, he helped me out tremendously. He's, I guess you call it, the brains behind this. The little bit of brains we can put into these cars and make them a little bit better without, going past the rules and keeping them inside the rules. Dugan is really, really good at that. He's old school. I like it. I tell Dugan, do it. I just want to get faster. And Dugan's all for getting the car better. Not mainly, I want to change the number, change different owner, different car scheme. So I say, hey, this kind of tribute to Dugan, Uncle Dugan. Like I said, he has helped me out for the past probably 6 or 7 years, very, very strong. And I can't do a whole lot for people. And it's something small like this. When I told him I was doing this, the smile on his face was worth it all to me. I wish I could have got on video or picture. And it touched me. I was like, just seeing that smile, me telling him, hey, we're on 35 this year. That was enough for me. Said I made a good decision. I think
Exactly.
it's great.
Yeah, I mean, you go from wanting 34. Chase has got 34 to 35. Well, how is this sentimental? Well, obviously, Basham, and then that story right there makes it all worth it. So that's exciting. I'm excited to see what you can do this year. And who would you like to thank on that 35 coming into the 2026 season?
First foremost, Jeff Pickford. Without Jeff, he's making it happen. We've done a lot of work to this whole car. It's been blue for the past 3 years. We did pretty much a total makeover on it. It looks really good. It's not the greatest, but it looks good. It's a lot better than what it was. As long as it runs good, I'm good with that. Jeff Pickford, Kingsbury Concrete, they helped me out tremendously. Advantage Towing Recovery. Carl Truman Law has been with me for several years. J&M Landscape, Jaden and Skyly Burns, or not Burns, sorry, Martin now. Jaden and Skyly Martin. Trackside Meats, Nick Bohannon helps me out with mounting the tires and getting my tires cutted, getting tires cut for the track. That helps out tremendously. I do all the work. He has a machine to help me do it. Clayton Bohannon with Clayton CJB Excavating, helping me out. Locker Room Pub, Kara and James. Code 3 Roofing, it's also Kara and James. Trying to make sure I didn't miss it. I think we're good. Mike's Muffler and Brakes. I think he's the title sponsor. Could be wrong, but if not, Mike Popwell helps us out.
Yeah.
Good luck to the Popwells. But yeah, we look forward to a great season, and make the best of it. So I'm excited. I'm excited with the things that have been done up there. Brent and Melissa are doing awesome things. I love to see it. It's awesome. I'm just hoping we get fans to come to the track, put some butts in the seat, and come watch these Crown Vics, watch the street stocks. The Crown Vics, like you said, put on a great show. Overall, I mean, not just saying because I'm in it or I'm in the mix of it, but they put on, you go back and watch the videotape or rerun of a Crown Vic race at Salem, and it comes down to the wire like the end of a basketball game. It's down to the final second, and it gets like that. And I mean,
Yes.
what more can you ask for? Like I said, the horsepower is not there, but the racing is there, and it's intense. It's tough. There's some great drivers in the Crown Vic division. I mean, some good drivers. I mean, can't take nothing away from. I mean, all the way through the field, the young kids are getting the laps in there, and they're coming up, trying to grow the division. I might talk a little bit of smack here. I'm not much of talking smack anymore. I'm not getting my older days. I like to challenge a few of them street stock guys to come race with us. I know it's a lot to build a car, but just to do it, I think it'd be fun. I think kind of get your Chucky Barnes, one probably the best street stock racer in America, if you ask me. I want him. I
Yeah.
want you. Um, I mean, not just calling Chucky out, but I mean, there's a few
Be
others,
fun to see.
several others. Oh, it'd be awesome. And I think, the rerun is spooky. I mean, I think we had 60 plus cars, and we got our race done in our time limit, tore up some stuff, but I think overall it's good racing. It gives it the Halloween 200 feel back in the day like it was. So I think it'd be fun. Get some of them guys that are a lot of experience, because it's not a beginner's division at Salem. It's not at all.
No.
It's you get some experience, come up and race, and some of them guys with some experience would be it'd be fun. It'd be fun to see, because these cars ain't like a street stock. They're totally different. No, so we're not trying to talk smack to Chucky, but he's calling about, because when you're on top, you're on top. So you gotta call out the big dog, So
Well, Ronnie, I tell you what, I'm excited getting talking to you and getting pumped up for the 2026 80th year season. And we thank you so much for your time and coming on. And we look forward to seeing what you can do in Pickford Motorsports this year at Salem Speedway, buddy.
yes, sir. I appreciate you taking me on, and like to say thanks to my kids, my future wife, Kenzie, and let me put a little time in, all the long hours in the garage, and just thanks to my guys that helped me. Hey, thanks to the fans, and hey, on that first Sunday, March 29th, come out to the racetrack. Let's see what you think of the new place, and let's pack the stands. I want to see that place filled up like it was in the mid '90s, early 2000s.
Race fans, here in 2026, we are glad to partner with Flag to Flag Media. Our friends Matt Lamar and the gang set to have a show Thursday nights at 8 p.m. on their YouTube page or Facebook platform. Just go to Flag to Flag Media. That's FLAG, the number 2, FLAG Media. Flag to Flag Media for all of your dirt highlights around the region. Check them out at Flag to Flag Media. And welcome back to the Wild Will Throwdown, season number 5, supporting Indy Warrior Partnership. Glad to partner with them this year to give back to our veterans and military personnel. Wow, that was Ronnie Basham III, and man, Harold Adams, he is really good on the high banks of Salem Speedway. Him and Pickford Motorsports teaming up to make it Pickford Basham Motorsports this year. I'm really impressed to see what that, or I shouldn't say impressed, not yet. I should say I'm very well looking forward to seeing how they do together on that track.
Yeah, no doubt. Really anticipating to see just how powerful they can be together. Like you say, RB3 is really tough on them high banks, so he's going to be definitely a force to be reckoned with.
It's going to be different seeing him in the 35 now. Of course, we know that another Basham out there in the number 35, but this year Ronnie Basham III in the 35 instead of the 86. That's going to be hard to kind of differentiate.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get used to it because we've seen the picture. It looks like a big 35 on there, so that should help us out.
I hope. I know the scores up in the tower will love that. So it's going to be a great year, of course. Good talking to him. But here we go, gentlemen. We talk about the month of March firing up, and now more. A little bit of more racing fuel gets poured on the fire this weekend as, of course, Salem Speedway. We go into round number 2 of practice. Don't know if you're going to do both days. Don't know if we're going to do one day. Mother Nature pending. Sunday looks a little bit rainy. Saturday looks to be the pick of the day, around 60, 61 degrees and sunny. But Harold Adams, I'm expecting a little more of your modifieds and sportsmans this weekend.
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of them guys still getting their cars together, getting them tuned up, getting them ready. So I think we'll see a big flood of them come out this week. I don't want to use that term, I guess, with Mother Nature. So I'll just say we're expecting a lot of them.
Oh, yeah, and of course, Ford Crown Vics, you got to expect it. I mean, it's going to be a big weekend. And Harold Adams, this is also weird for me to say after just one practice session. Think about this.
Yeah.
This is the last practice session before the 2026 80th year fires up.
Well, kind of hard to believe, eh? That kind of sneaking up on us. So, but hey, we'll take it along with some good weather, I hope. I know next week we were already kind of taking a sneak peek at next week's weather. It looks pretty chilly, but I'm hoping it warms up by Friday and Saturday.
Propane heaters. There you go.
There you go. Hand warmers.
There you go, hand warmers, and I'm going to have the heater on underneath my feet in the press box, so that's what I'm going to be doing. But so also, Speedrome, how about that? They're going to fire up their practice this Saturday as well at the Indianapolis Speedrome. Dalton, I don't know if you're going to sneak over there. I know a lot of other people are going to go over there to the Speedrome this weekend.
Yeah, I don't think I am this weekend. My first test will probably be at Anderson Speedway in my street stock just to get tuned up and make sure everything's good to drive 2 hours east to Shady Bowl. So hopefully we can get that race in. 8th and 29th. I believe the race is on a Sunday. So I kind of like Sunday races. It's just a chill environment.
Hey, I do too. And people get mad at me when I say that. I've always liked Sunday races. Obviously, now don't get me wrong here. Not Sportsdrome Sunday races, not Speedrome Sunday races. I'm talking about the big track kind of feel, Salem, Shady Bowl, stuff like that. It just gives that relaxed feel. You start early. It's just kind of how it was tradition-wise back in the day. But that's going to be good. Brownstown Speedway. Now, this is interesting. I know a lot of people didn't know this, but Brownstown Speedway in Indiana are actually going to fire up this Saturday night. It'll be the Ida Baston Memorial 10,000 win for the Northern All-Stars. James Essex and the crew over there. Also going to have the Modifieds and the Pure Stocks racing as well. So that's going to be Brownstown Speedway firing up for the 2026 season. So if you're looking for a great dirt track, Brownstown Speedway, Jim Price and the gang always has a great track up there. Going to be a great car count, I'm sure. The Northern All-Star Late Model Series have a great following, so keep an eye on that. And, of course, Five Flag Speedway, the Sunshine 200 for the ASA Stars are going to fire up this weekend as well down in Pensacola. Our friends in Florida are gearing up. They're ready to go. Yes, a lot of tracks using March as a practice ground. April really gets to fire up. I know our friends at Evergreen, which that reminds me, we talk about figure eight, gentlemen. Harold Adams next week. Chris Curtis hops on the show from the great state of Washington and the home of the Seahawks, Seattle.
The Super Bowl champion Seahawks. I'll correct you on
Oh,
that.
shut up. Worst boring game in Super Bowl history. How about that?
That's pretty exciting to me.
Sure. All right,
It's
moving
probably going
on.
to happen again next year, so you better be ready. Back-to-back years, buddy. You heard it here.
Nope, Colt's going to get it next year. Calling it now.
Okay.
Moving on.
Moving on.
Maybe it's the Falcons. Who knows? But anyways, a lot of change up, by the way, in the NFL, and kind of surprising, but everyone's switching gears there, I guess. But that's for another story, another time. But
Yep.
man,
The way
gentlemen,
it is.
yes, it is. But gentlemen, I tell you what, March flying by already. Here we are, almost to the midpoint of March. The second half of the season. Next week, we're going to have a lot more to talk about. We'll cover some results from Brownstown. Take a peek at what happened during practice this weekend, I should say, at Sportsdrome and Speedrome. We'll talk about that next week as well. Of course, like I said, Chris Curtis is going to come on the show next week, and I'm sure he plans on as well of a lot of Washington people coming down for the 3-hour. So we'll have that next week for next week's show. It's going to be a great time. But as always, want to thank our marketing partners for what they do here for us in 2026. Also, want to thank Harold Adams and Dalton Connor for coming on each week on the show as the co-host. Want to thank all the drivers, crews, contributions, everything that they make to give us here at the show, and, of course, the great fans. Without the fans, we would not be here each and every week. And as far as I go, my name is Will Greenwell, and I will see you around the turn.